Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about the report that the Pistons could be looking to add a front court player with their cap space. I would like to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comments. And subscribe. It'll help out the channel a ton. If you want more NBA content like this, I'll work for USA Today Sports, hoopshype.com as a multimedia journalist. So what's the report today and who is it coming from? This is a report that says the Pistons could look to add Myles Turner, Naz Reid, and Santi Aldama in free agency. Currently, we're all under the assumption that this is going to be a franchise that more than likely was going to use their cap space, especially with Cade Cunningham having the year that he did and his extension kicking in, that Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, primarily Malik Beasley is the most important guy. And then I would say the second most is Dennis Schroeder. And with that being said, the third is Tim Hardaway Jr. And the reports were for most of May that the Pistons, instead of going out and buying a player or signing a player, not buying, but using their cap space for that, or even just acquiring picks by renting out their cap space to a team to dump a salary, that they would just re-sign their own free agents. However, in this new report coming from Jake Fischer of the Stein line, aka the People's Insider, he reports that they actually could pivot and go for a front court player, as Jalen Duren, I personally think, proved himself as a very capable and efficient double-double machine. So what is the report? The Detroit Pistons have options with their approach to this year's offseason. The Pistons can create nearly $17 million in cap space this summer. That cap space the Pistons could use to pursue an upgrade at the center position or complementary piece. Players that Detroit are linked to: Myles Turner, who I think is incredibly unlikely to leave Indiana, and if he were, it would be for an outrageous paycheck, which I don't think they would be doing. By the way, what do you guys think about the whole Jaden Ivey situation? I just have to assume that he's going to be extension eligible soon. He's great. I just think he could be a trade chip to get a good player, like a complimentary star to Cade Cunningham. Now, Reid and Santi Aldama would fit perfectly as guys who would want a starting role if they were to leave their current teams, while also getting a pay raise. Now, as we said, Turner's an unrestricted free agent and widely expected to return to the Indiana Pacers. Reid and Aldama could be more available. Reid has a player option with the Timberwolves. Most expect Reid to return to Minnesota, but could be drawn away from the Wolves with a big offer. He's expected to at least get $100 million plus. Now, the average annual value is still to be determined. Santi Aldama is a restricted free agent. He's someone who played the 3, the 4, and the 5 this season. Given Memphis is looking to work out a new deal for Jaren Jackson Jr. in the ways of a renegotiation and extension, which gives him a pay raise and an extension, they could let Aldama go if he receives big enough of an offer sheet. The Grizzlies are closing in on being a luxury team or a luxury tax team, and if they re-sign their own free agents, they'll basically be a tax team or near it. So look, the whole reason you're doing this, I also feel like if you went after a big, you're probably trading Isaiah Stewart. Or this kind of feels like Isaiah Stewart's on the way out. I actually really like Isaiah Stewart, and I would keep him. But if you're paying another guy $15+ million a year to be your 4-5 or another front court player, it doesn't make sense to have Isaiah Stewart also making, 8 figures, as at that point, to me, it might be counterintuitive to have all those players. Plus, like, I think you're betting on Duren over Stewart, and if that's the case, that's fine. I just wonder if that's the move you want to do. I mean, I think the reason you're doing that is because the problems that Stewart gives you, and that, you know, you probably wanted him and Duren to be able to play together. That ended up never really happening. Whether it's because of coaching or just fit, I think it's more so fit. Like, even though Stewart, unlike Duren, is more willing to space the floor, I don't think he does it enough to, you know, have the defenses be honest. Like, yeah, like, look at this past year he was only doing 1 3 a game. They had him drop down from the prior years where he was putting up like 4 threes a game at, like, what is this, 35% a game in those 2 seasons. So they changed his style too, from being like a floor spacing big to only floor spacing when they need him to. And to me, I think that was like one of the telltale signs where they were just like, they started to prefer Duren. And we've said this multiple times. What's the best availability, or what's the best ability? Availability. And we're just gotten put in a situation where I think Stewart, if you look at his career, this year was the most games he played since his second season, which was 72. It was the least amount of starts, though. He only started 4 games this year, and his minutes per game was a career low. So to me, that just shows that Stewart is on the way out. And this is a team that could improve on the front court side of things. As, look, Detroit wasn't the best when it came to being a team that was able to control the front court area. Like, there would be times where they get beat. Let me just pull up their actual stats for this season so I don't misquote myself. But on the year, right here, they were middle of the pack rebounding 13th. Blocks, they were 9th. All right. Now, offensive rebounds, 11th, 12th, and defensive rebounds. So there was room for improvement, and I think that's a big part of this. And now that you also look at the contract that he signed, the 4-year, $60 million, it's not that it's not aging well. It's just, do you want to be paying Isaiah Stewart $15 million a year? I don't know. And especially if you bring in a Santi Aldama or a Naz Reid, I just don't. And you're going to pay Duren. I don't think that bodes well for keeping Stewart here, because then you just have a bunch of money committed that, should you really be committing all that money or not really, because you probably could just sign a guy and then trade Stewart to a team like New Orleans or maybe even Houston and get a salary like Jock Landale from Houston that you can just cut. Let me hear your thoughts.